We're on page 144, multiplying fraction by a fraction. It says how to multiply a whole number by a fraction. You're finding 2/3 of 9, which is the same thing as 2/3 times 9. Again, we've talked about this in class. Of means to multiply. So why don't you take and draw an arrow right that and commit that to memory. You know, it says create a model to show the whole number. Okay. So here's our model. 9 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then it says partition the model into the number of equal sections shown by the denominator. Shade the number of sections shown by the numerator. Okay, so if you'll see the dark lines, you're finding 2/3 of 9. So they want you to partition this into thirds. So they've drawn across these dark lines. And just take your pencil and kind of make that go a little bit darker. So they've drawn those into thirds. You've got a third here, a third here, and a third here. If you just look at the long skinny lines. And then they want you to think about their shading. To find the 2/3 of the model, divide the square into 3 equal rows and shade 2. That's what we just said in my own words. Now we're going to shade 2. All right, then it says determine the value of the shaded model. Since 6 small squares are shaded, you know that 2/3 times 9 equals 6. Well, I want to show more math. 2/3 times 9/1 equals 18. We're multiplying across. Pow, pow. Pow, pow. They look like arrows that shoot across. That's why I say pow, pow. You multiply. 2 times 9 is 18. 3 times 1 is 3. We know this as a division sentence, which is 18 divided by 3, which is equal to what? 6. Which is equal to what? 6. All right, let's go down to this one right here, where we are going to actually draw this model. 3/4 of 8. So we can start off with 8 blocks. Okay, 3 lines down, so we can make 4 parts, and it's double. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so then we're going to make sure we are shading in. And even if you want to, you could think about it like you could go ahead and do the math. In my opinion, sometimes that's easier. So 3/4 times 8 over 1. If one of these is a fraction, I've said it a bunch of times in class, but I'm going to say it again. If one of these is a fraction, the other number has to become a fraction. So 8 wholes would become 8 over 1 to make these work. Now I can multiply across. 3 times 8 equals 24. And 4 times 1 is 4. I was saying the answer. Then 24 divided by 4 equals how much? It equals 6. So we know by the time we finish, we're going to have 6 of these shaded in. So let's figure out. Okay, so now we're going to look at, and we're going to draw those dark lines to see where the little 4-part sections would be. And then you shade in 3/4 of those. So you would shade in this fourth, this fourth, and this fourth. So that's 2, 4, 6 of those. All right, so your product is going to be 6. 3/4 times 8 over 1 equals 24 over 4, which equals 6. All right, let's go on to the next one. You'll get better and better as time goes on. I will too. That's the plan. All right, so let's look at this one. It says, shade a model to show the second fraction. Shade a model to show the second fraction. So we're going to go ahead. The first thing says, all right, what's the second fraction? Okay. So we're coloring this one in. We're showing 1/4 right here. Is that 1 out of 4? Yes, it is. Partition, what you've just shaded in. Partition, what you have just shaded in to halves or halves. And then it says double shade. Double shade, that's why this one becomes dark, because you're finding a half of the 1/4. So let's look at it. Determine the value. 1/2 of a fourth equals, and you just go across, you multiply and you multiply. We're going to keep doing this. We're going to get more practice as time goes on. Let's see if we can do this one together. It says draw a model to show 1/2 of 1/3. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw what? A third. So we have to get our little fraction bar. Boy, y'all can make yours, I hope, better than me. And we're going to put 2 lines through it. So what we just made? We made thirds. So the first thing we did was we drew a third. Now you're going to go back through and divide into how many parts? 2 parts. And what we maybe want to do is the third is to shade it first though, okay? So I'm going to go ahead, I'll just shade this orange to make it a little bit lighter. Well, that's really bright. Okay, so this is a third. Now you're going to do a half of that third. So we're going to go like this. And then we're talking about you get to double shade a half of the third. So I'm just going to go across and do these nice little hash lines. So of the original drawing, our answer is going to be 1/6. Of the original drawing, what's hashtagged and orange? 1/6. So 1/2 of 1/3 is 1/2 times 1/3, which equals 1/6. You're finding a fraction of a fraction. Look what's happening. The pieces are getting smaller. You started with 6 pieces in all, didn't you? And then look, it went down to only a part of that original, let's say if it was a cake or a rectangle. Okay, we'll continue with this concept.